Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Music Matters. How you doing? It's MonkeyBoy.
And I'm Ziggy.
And we are back, finally, after being, sick for a week. I finally feel like I'm among the living again, so we can do this, because I don't want to get you sick.
Right, just a brief hiatus, but we are back to discuss Phil Collins.
Yes, one of my favorites.
We're going to touch a little bit on Genesis, because that's where it all starts.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a good time. We're both big Phil Collins fans.
Huge, and we're going to learn a little bit about Phil Collins that we didn't know about until today.
That's right.
So that's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to that. But I thought we'd start things off with a little bit of music news, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about what we're listening to this week.
Right.
So go ahead with the music news.
All right. Well, there's been some significant music deaths.
I know. This is a bummer.
Yeah. Sly of Sly and the Family Stone.
One of the funk man. The funk master.
Very inspirational to many bands of the time.
So many. Yep, Prince, obviously.
Oh, Prince. Prince was a big Sly Stone fan, right? June 11th, a very large death here. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Yeah, it didn't get much bigger than that one.
It doesn't get much bigger than that one when you have Paul McCartney lauding your praise when the Beatles are often regarded to as the greatest thing. Says a lot about Brian Wilson. The music he wrote for the Beach Boys, his production, the songs, the melodies, the harmonies. The Beach Boys music, in my opinion, is just great music.
It's timeless.
It's timeless. You turn it on, it's fun, it's short.
Yep.
It's great, it makes you feel good.
I still love the Beach Boys, and will still listen to the Beach Boys pretty much any chance I get.
But yeah, his songwriting, his production style not only influenced Lennon and McCartney, but tons of other artists.
So man, his production too. I mean, the guy. If you saw the movie, what was the movie?
I cannot remember the name of the movie.
But it's about Brian Wilson,
right?
And the amount of work he did to make Pet Sounds, just coming up with different ways to make sounds.
Yes.
Was incredible.
He literally kind of went nuts.
He did. He literally went nuts.
He literally went nuts in regards to the Pet Sounds album.
But I'll tell you what, damn good album.
Oh, one of the best.
I mean,
one of the best.
You have the God Only Knows on that song, on that album, and that song is probably one of the greatest songs ever made.
Well, thankfully both Sly and he got the attention they deserved.
Yeah.
The press coverage, they're great. One just recently, on June 23rd, the great guitarist Mick Ralphs.
Oh, yes, Bad Company.
And then Bad Company.
Yes.
Again, very influential guitarist, if you just think of those riffs.
I mean, Bad Company, man.
Yep. He was a riffer. I believe that Mick had suffered a massive stroke.
I think
it was 2017. They had performed a series of shows, and it was just within hours after that performance he had a debilitating stroke. He's been bedridden since 2017.
No, didn't know that.
Yeah. Bobby Sherman, just on the 24th, singer and actor from back in the 70s.
I remember
Bobby
70s,
Sherman. Yeah. He acted in a lot of stuff back when I was young. The 26th, Lalo Schifrin.
I'm not familiar with.
Yes, you are.
Am I?
Yep. Dun 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 dun.
Oh.
Dun,
okay.
dun,
Mission. Is that Mission Impossible?
He composed that.
Okay.
Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, all right.
Dirty Harry composed the music for those.
Okay.
So those are, some pretty big deaths over the last little bit here. I mean, if it matters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It does to me. Just out of my love of music and appreciation, deep appreciation of musicians. Foreigner. No longer Foreigner. On a farewell tour.
They're not.
They are no longer on their farewell tour. It is a farewell tour for Kelly Hansen, who's been with the band since, I don't know.
A while, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of decades.
Yeah.
He is departing.
So, wait. Are there any original members of Foreigner left in
There
Foreigner?
are no original members of well, wait now. There are no original members of Foreigner that tour as Foreigner.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
We know that the guitarist is still a member of the band.
But he doesn't go out and tour.
He doesn't tour anymore. He did initially.
Right.
But he's got Parkinson's real bad. He just can't anymore.
Lou Graham's getting a little old.
Well, Lou Graham has been doing special appearances with them over the last 3-4 years.
Right.
Just a few months ago, Foreigner did a show somewhere where the other surviving members came out. Lou Graham was one of them. Came out and played.
Sure.
I think they try to do that whenever it's convenient for everyone. But
right.
Louis Maldonado, who is a multi-instrumentalist that performs with them, had to fill in for Kelly Hansen on a European tour because of visa issues, and they were just blown away by his ability to pull those songs off. I actually checked out a video clip yesterday, and I was like, whoa, okay, I can see that this can go on.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good singer. He did talk Kelly Hansen into staying, but Kelly wants to go live his life like a lot of these musicians that are pulling off the road.
Yeah, he's getting up there in years now, so I can understand that.
Enjoy the home
enjoy
life
the time,
and all that. And so Louis Maldonado will now be fronting Foreigner, and the Foreigner owner and leader of the band says, you have my blessing to continue touring as Foreigner, and you can record new music as Foreigner. And so I think that's probably what the intention is. We've got the Ozzy Osbourne thing coming.
Big concert. Last show. I have mixed emotions about this. I'm such a huge Ozzy Osbourne fan. I've seen him probably more than any other artist live. I've seen him so many times, both with Black Sabbath and solo, and it was just a big part of my growing up, going to see Ozzy Osbourne.
I've seen Ozzy a couple times. I don't know, maybe 3 times. I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity.
I think I saw him maybe 12, 13 times. I've seen him a lot of Ozfests. I think I went to the first 6 or 5.
Oh.
I didn't miss for quite a few years. I went every year. They were just amazing.
Yep. Back to the beginning. Ozzy's final bout, July 5th.
Yeah.
Birmingham, United Kingdom's Villa Park. It's been immediately sold out.
Of course.
Yeah, there was a lot of fan demand for it to be streamed.
And it is going to be.
Sharon said that they were inundated with emails and texts and all this, and so they have partnered to do a live stream.
I'm tempted to get it. I mean,
look at
the huge amount of talent. I mean, every
they're
band
stream
you
it
love.
live, and then it'll be available for 48 hours afterwards too.
Yeah.
But it's the music director is Tom Morello of
Rage
Against the Machine. Tons of people that have played with Ozzy are going to be there.
I heard Jakey Lee is going to be there.
Jakey Lee is going to be there. He was invited by Tom Morello, but of course Zach Wilde's going to be there.
Yeah, of course.
Rudy Sarzo is going to be there.
Awesome.
Mike Borden
is the guy from Night Ranger. Kelly, is it Kelly?
Yes, Brad Gillis.
Brad
Gillis will be there. He played at the Bark on the
Moon. Bark of the Moon. Yeah.
Bark at the Moon album. I don't know if Tommy Aldridge will be there.
Ooh, that would be awesome if he was.
Yeah,
I love Tommy.
Yeah, all kinds of people that have played with him. Of course, the original lineup of Black Sabbath.
Yes.
It's gonna be a great event. If you want to know more, backtothebeginning.com.
Backtothebeginning.com. All right.
Back to the beginning.
That's where you could probably rent the live stream, I'm assuming.
I assume.
Probably.
I didn't click on it. We don't have time.
That's all right. I will look forward to that.
I think, just to be there would be something.
Oh, it'd be amazing. I mean, you're seeing every single metal legend is there, pretty much.
Well, and I think we discussed this on when we discussed this. Rob Halford and Judas Priest will not be there. They have a conflict, and Rob Halford is a longtime friend of Ozzy's. Very much wants to be there and perform there, but it just
didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's
are you a big fan of the Scorpions?
I am.
I am as well. Deservedly so. They are getting a biopic called Wind of Change.
Cool.
Yeah, that just started production in London. They recently announced the cast. There's no names that I'm familiar with, but Fox Entertainment and Warner Brothers Home Entertainment are supporting the project. I'm trying to see if... I don't know when that's going to be available.
Relatively soon.
I would imagine that it's probably going to be at some point next year. I don't.
Oh, they probably still have to record it, and
Well, yeah, film it. So yeah, I don't. There isn't any.
I'm sure it'll be another year or so, but that'll be cool.
Yeah. I mean, they have a storied history. And
absolutely. Well, they aren't they in Vegas doing a residency right now?
I believe that's true.
I think they are. Yeah. I think I saw some video from that, and it looked pretty cool. They had a big scorpion on stage. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I hope people are familiar with Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, who's he?
Well, he's the son of the late great Eddie Van Halen.
Really?
Yeah, he has his own band.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Mammoth WVH.
Aha. Yes. Mammoth.
But now their name is just Mammoth. It
yes.
has been for most of this year.
Yep.
Mammoth, of course, is the
original.
It was the precursor name to Van Halen.
Yeah.
For Eddie Alex and David Lee Roth, I think, joined in 74, but they went with Van Halen, and so that name has just kind of sat around.
Yep.
Maybe Wolfie just has been busy and really focused on his career, not to go out and get the trademark. I'm sure it took very little legal wrangling, since it was his dad or uncle that owned that name. But now it's just known as Mammoth.
That's awesome.
He did ask his dad in 2013 when they were on tour if he could use the name Mammoth for his band, and to quote Eddie Van Halen, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah.
Unquote.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's cool, and if you're not familiar with Mammoth, you should certainly check them out.
They got 2 albums out right now, right? I don't think there's 3. I think there's just 2. But they may be working on a 3rd.
Yes.
I think that's how.
Well, it's not too hard for Wolfie to work on.
Oh no, he's always working
on the
stuff.
albums because he is mammoth.
Yeah.
He plays the drums on the records, the bass, the guitar,
He
all
plays
keyboards, does the singing, all the background vocals, writes all the songs. I'm sure he's got some co-writers. But it's
all him.
It's he's an incredibly talented guy. He's a great singer.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
He might want to lose a couple of pounds. But, you know, cause
not going to fat shame anybody.
I'm not fat shaming.
talk.
I'm just saying the way he rocks. You know, he might need a little help there. Okay, well, what have you been listening to lately?
I tell you what, you know me. I go for the old school stuff, especially when they release new music.
Well, this is the Music Matters podcast. I try to say this in every podcast, which is, we are here to discuss anything and everything having to do with music.
Yeah.
And so we don't use the word hate.
Right.
Because we don't hate anything on this podcast.
No.
It's not our thing, or...
Right.
You know, that's it. It's not our thing.
Yep.
But love what you love to listen to.
That's what I do.
But be open-minded to checking out new music.
For sure.
Which is my part in the podcast. To, you know, keep us current and talk about new stuff. About new stuff. And then there's my bestie Andy over here, who you have an internet radio station.
I do.
And you have to do a lot of research for that. And so you are very knowledgeable about the older artists that we love.
Yeah.
That are continuing to put out music.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a very valuable thing.
Especially since, like, most of the other radio stations out there don't play them anymore.
No.
You know, like we were talking off radio, off the podcast, Buck Cherry. Have you heard a new song from Buck Cherry in the past, I don't know, 10 years?
No,
not on the radio.
That's a great thing, you know, that you're wanting to talk about the older artists, because they all of these people, they haven't faded off.
No, they're still doing stuff.
They're not dead. They're out there still performing to big audiences. They're producing albums. You know, still doing stuff, and they deserve to be talked about. So anyway, go ahead. Men Without Hats, you remember them? Yes, Men Without Hats, one of my
Pop
favorites.
Goes the World and Safety Dance and all that. Well, they have a new song called I Love the 80s, and it is as cheesy as 80s as you can ever get. It is.
And we listened to that before we hit record, and boy, if that isn't your song.
Oh, I know. It's so 80s. It's so Men Without Hats. If you like Men Without Hats, I mean, it is so them.
It is so Andy Matson.
It is. It is. I dig it. It's great. Honeymoon Suite have a new album.
Honeymoon Suite. Great band.
Yeah.
Great band from
Canada.
Way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, love them.
They got a new album out. They have a song called Ever Leave You Lonely that's they released as a single. It's okay. I liked their other stuff they released last year or the other year so far, but I've only heard the one song, so I'm not passing judgment yet. The Rolling Stones released a brand new song with Steve Riley called Zydeco Sant Passales. And I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but you know, with it being the week of Saturday in the Park, and Zydeco was always a big thing with Saturday in the Park, at least in the early years of its existence. And this just made me feel like Saturday in the Park. Like, it's called Zydeco Sant Passales, the Rolling Stones. Really good stuff.
Very good pronunciation.
I'm sure.
I'm
sure I really fucked it up, but that's okay.
For our worldly listeners.
Yeah, I don't know how to speak.
Saturday in the Park is a free music festival that happens the first weekend in July. What year are we on?
30, aren't we?
29, 30 years of this happening in the park. We get some top-notch headliners here.
Yeah.
We've got Teddy Swims this year as a headliner. We've had Aretha Franklin before.
Yep, we've had
B.B. King has been
Black
there.
Crows.
Yeah,
the Allman Brothers.
AJR.
Yep.
Foster the People.
God, so many.
Flo Rida.
Yeah. CeeLo.
CeeLo, yeah.
God, there was just Michelle Branch. She was there one year. Blues Travelers. Counting Crows.
George
Thorogood.
I mean, we've had some top-notch entertainers. Yeah. And the other people on the bill, we've got Mavis Staples, who is an icon in gospel, R&B. The Staples family is very well known.
Yep.
She's going to be there this year, but yeah.
Proud of our local band Ghost Cat made the main stage this year.
My buddy Alex, boy, he can write some music, can he?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
very different sound, but it's cool. It's like a pop rock fusion.
Yeah, I'm a big Ghost Cat fan. I'm a huge Alex Irwin fan.
Yeah,
I like Alex.
It's good.
He's a friend of mine. So that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I wish I didn't have to work.
Well,
I'm gonna have to miss out on it this year.
But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of music in the park, and it's absolutely free.
Yeah,
it's a good time. Yeah, SaturdayInThePark.com. For anyone that wants to
check that out. What else you got? Buck Cherry, we were talking about. They've got a new song called Machine Gun. It is spectacular. Mm-hmm. Alice Cooper's got a new song called Wild Ones. I'm really, really digging. Let's see. What else was there? Yeah. All right there. Good Charlotte have a new song. And there's one other one I was checking out. If I can find it. Starset have a new one. Bruce Springsteen has a new one. Black Keys, Bad Flower. Yeah, that Bad Flower is really good. Biffy Clyro have a new song out. It's really good, really good. And Enough's Enough.
Oh, Enough's Enough. Now there's another group I've always liked. They've had a ton of members.
Mm-hmm.
But we mentioned them before. That they are very much Beatlesque.
Yes, very Beatlesque. Got thrown into the hair band.
They got thrown into the hair band thing,
but they're much more of a pop rock
band. Yeah, but they've consistently put out some good stuff. So
yeah,
you can check that out.
What have you been listening to?
Jesse Murph. Do you know Jesse Murph?
Jesse Murph.
I'm pretty sure. Blue Strips. I played it for you before.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know which one.
Well, she's got a new song out called "Touch Me Like a Gangsta."
Well,
it's very good.
Okay.
Well, how can it not be with lyrics like "I like whips and chains, I like being tied to things, babe."
Okay.
I like some pain turning me upside down on a swing, baby.
Whoa!
I'd like to know how far you're gonna go. It is
nothing wrong with a little S&M.
Well, it's a great song. Not
gonna kink shame.
Not gonna kink shame. Yeah. There is there's a band out there called President.
Yes. These guys, they're the next big thing.
Well, I'm gonna accuse them of being an industry plant. I don't have time to justify
they
that
may
today.
be, but I'll tell you what, the song they released is fire.
Fearless?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Yeah, well, they've got a couple
out. Yeah,
they've got a couple out. I like them. There was some initial hype that they were, like Sleep Token. For me, anyway, I don't hear it. I'm a big Sleep Token fan. I'm becoming.
Yeah, I didn't think they were like Sleep Token.
No, I'm becoming a President fan, but that's the name of the band, President.
Yep.
Very good.
As opposed to Presidents of the United States, that's not them.
No.
But I like the Presidents of the United States.
Very good band.
Anytime you can, get Lump in there.
Lump, yeah.
Or Peaches.
or something. You're just Peaches. Yeah, Peaches.
Remember? Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved Peaches.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great tune.
So let's see what else. Starset.
Yes.
We've talked about Starset.
Yeah.
Right up there with Buck Cherry. It's like when was the last time you heard Starset on the radio?
It's been a while.
They're teasing a brand new album. I think they've released 4 or 5 songs from it yet. You can check that out. There's a great group out there called Dead Eyes.
Yeah.
Do you know them?
I do.
Okay. Relapse. Ella Langley. Country. I just saw her the other night. She was
okay? Yeah, that's who. I thought that was who you went to see.
Yeah, and she dropped a new single on Friday with Hardy, who co-wrote the song called "Never Met Anyone Like You." Very good. Teddy Swims.
Yep, that's a good tune.
Yeah, dropped another one. Need You More, so you can check that out.
I did like that one.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time to talk about Phil Collins.
All right, we can do that. Phil Collins, born 1951 on January the 30th. That's the same birthday as my mom.
Yeah, born in West
January
London.
30th. Yep.
Started playing drums. Now, I'm a drummer. And I love Phil Collins.
Oh, man.
I love Phil Collins as a drummer. So, let's just talk about Phil briefly as a drummer. He's just amazing. As you listen to Phil Collins, even in the early days of Genesis and up until currently, when a Phil Collins song comes on, you know it's a Phil Collins song.
Just by the drums.
By the drums. He had this amazing gate on his snare drum. Am I talking over your head?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. He just worked with that snare drum for years just to get this certain sound out of it. I don't know that there was ever any kind of trigger or effect put on it. It was just the way that he got it to sound. His upcoming work with Genesis, which we're going to discuss, is just phenomenal, progressive, polytechnic rhythms. And he is one of the most influential drummers of all time.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's so unique, but you can always tell, every Phil Collins song is cool just from the drums. You just listen for the drums and you're like, oh man, that's cool what he did there. I like that. He's always something you can find in a Phil Collins song.
Yeah, and
with the drums.
We'll talk about some songs coming up where I mean, that really just absolutely is the case.
Yeah. So, did you know that before Phil Collins was a musician, Phil Collins was an actor?
Well, I knew that he acted, because I think a few of us have probably seen that movie Buster. I wasn't really, I don't know that I've really done a lot of looking at his acting. Why?
Well, he actually did, the first thing he did, music related, was be a extra in a Beatles movie.
Oh, which one was that?
He was in, I want to say it was A Hard Day's Night. I'm looking for it here. Where did it go? Well, anyway.
Yeah, we'll come across it.
I'm sure we will. But I want to say it was that. I want to say it was he was an extra in Hard Day's Night. If I could get my computer to do what I want it to do. There we go. He was in Miami Vice.
Oh, he was. Wait, you know what? I do remember him being in Miami Vice.
I kind of do as well. He was also involved in movies like Tarzan, the animated one. He did the soundtrack for.
Yeah, we'll touch on those songs.
So he's always been kind of, he mixed those two areas of entertainment, and he always kind of kept a little bit of it. Like, he didn't do a lot of acting, but he did some, and he also, stayed in the movie world with producing soundtracks and things like that.
So when did he join Genesis? 1970?
He joined, let's see here. Oh, there, let's see. The Beatles were major. Okay. Yep, it was A Hard Day's Night. There it is.
Oh, Hard Day's Night? Okay.
He was an uncredited extra in A Hard Day's Night. That was his first thing. Apparently he auditioned for a role of Romeo in Romeo and Juliet, but the role went to Leonard Whiting in 1967. Then he started doing, some session work. And he worked with George Harrison on the song Art of Dying. He contributed the congas in that song. Later, he ended up joining Genesis.
Genesis was Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford, Steve Hackett, Peter Gabriel.
Yep.
So Genesis starts in 67. He joined in 70.
Yeah, he replaced their drummer John Mayhew, who is talented, but they had Phil Collins there, so they like, yeah, let's go with Phil. And he had a lot more charisma as well, did Phil. I can understand why.
And so, yeah, well, we're going to continue to talk about Genesis, but we're going to get real deep into Genesis down the line when we talk about progressive rock, because they are very...
Oh, one of the most influential.
Yeah, I mean, there other bands are here because of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So
he drummed for Genesis until 1975.
Until 1975.
He was drums, percussion, and backing vocals for Genesis albums and concerts.
I will tell you that the early Genesis is... I'm not going to say I'm not into it. I listened to a lot of early Genesis just in kind of, for this podcast. And I found I couldn't listen to it for a real long time because it is now, in my opinion, very outdated. The production.
Yeah.
Production-wise, how they produced things back then, it just
didn't translate.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think if they were to remaster those now, but I mean the stuff that Phil Collins does in those songs. Oh, the way he plays drums. I mean, and Steve Hackett, great guitar player. Mike Rutherford.
Yeah.
All good stuff. So, Genesis, about 1980, I guess it was, kind of changed their sound.
Yeah, the last
when
album...
Phil took over, I guess, really. Right?
Actually, no. The first album with Phil in 1975 was A Trick of the Tail. That was his first one as the lead vocalist. And that album was, a commercial and critical success. It reached number 3 in the UK charts, 31 in the US. But it was still very, very... I mean, I consider that still to be very progressive, not so poppy. I mean, it may have had one song on there that was like poppy, but it was still pretty progressive and some would say weird. Mm-hmm. But it was out there still. But Then, you get down to, and then there were 3. That one, I think, is where they start to find their more pop sound. That, of course, is when I believe Peter Gabriel left the band.
Right.
And so that really kind of sent them in a different direction. And then, once they started getting into that pop sound, it was hard to distinguish between a Genesis record and a Phil Collins solo album.
Well, now when you look back, you can that they did sound a lot like solo songs.
Yeah.
So they go on hiatus December of '78 because Phil needed to work on his marriage, and
Banks and Rutherford were recording solo albums at that time as well.
Well, at that time, Rutherford would have formed Mike and the Mechanics.
I think so.
Yep, that would be Mike and the Mechanics, right around there. Another great band.
Yeah.
By the way, currently on tour with Phil's son Nick Collins as the drummer.
Nice.
So, in '81 then, before we discuss that, 1980 Duke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Turn It On Again.
That was a great album.
Turn It On.
Turn It On Again. Yep.
That's All. Genesis.
Yep.
1983. I Can't Dance. 1991.
Oh, that was a huge album.
Home by the Sea. 83.
Yep.
Hold On My Heart from the We Can't Dance album. 91.
Mm-hmm.
Follow You, Follow Me. And
Love
then there
that.
were 3. 78. Invisible Touch. 1986.
Yeah, that was a great album.
In Too Deep. 1986.
I think Invisible Touch was my favorite Genesis album.
Yes.
Easily.
Land of Confusion. 1986.
Yep, that was on Invisible Touch.
And that would later become a hit as well for Disturbed.
Yeah.
Did a great cover of that.
Yep.
Let's see here. Abacab, 1981. Great song.
Love it.
Misunderstanding, 1980.
Yep.
Tonight.
I love that song.
1986. Let's see here. Duchess from Duke in 1980.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Just a few of the Genesis songs.
Throwing It All Away.
Yeah, there's another
Jesus,
one.
He Knows Me.
Okay.
I Can't Dance. God, there was some other ones.
Phil Collins, by the way, plays drums on all of those songs.
Oh, yeah.
Which you should be able to tell. So when does in 1981 Phil releases his solo album Face Value.
Yeah, Face Value. That album is killer. I mean, it was the first. What was it? It was his first solo album, right?
Yes, it was. It reached number 1 in 7 countries.
Yeah, that.
And number 7 in the U.S., where it went on to sell 5 million copies.
That one, of course, has In the Air Tonight.
In the Air Tonight, the album's lead single, became a hit and reached number 2 in the UK charts.
Yep. I Missed Again. That was on there.
In the Air Tonight is a song known for the gated effect, the gated reverb effect on his drums. I believe that prior to Face Value, he did not have that gated reverb.
I don't think he did. Yeah,
it was after that where his snare always sounded like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That album was just so good.
In the Air Tonight.
Colin's second solo album, Hello, I Must Be Going, was released in 1982. His marital problems continued to provide inspiration for his songs, including I Don't Care Anymore. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great tune. And Do You Know, Do You Care? That is another really good tune. The album reached number 2 in the UK, number 8 in the US, sold 3 million copies. Its second single, You Can't Hurry Love, is a cover by the Supremes. He does, I don't know if you've heard that whole album, but he does a whole cover album of songs like that. Like,
yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, we'll take a peek. I mean, he's done a lot of things. He's done a lot of things. So the second solo album, I Don't Care Anymore. Yeah, that a great song. Great song. Did he play on a Robert Plant album? Was that a Robert Plant album? The Principle of Moments?
Yeah. Yep, the first solo album by Led Zeppelin singer Robert Plant in 1982. Collins took part in the one-off Genesis reunion concert, 6 of the Best, held at the Milton Keynes Bowl in Buckinghamshire. That marked the return of Gabriel on lead vocals, so that was like right at the same time he did all of that.
Yeah.
Like he played, he did the album, and then he did the Robert Plant album, or at least song, and then he joined Genesis again.
Yeah.
And did the reunion with Peter Gabriel. That was a huge time for them.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very huge time.
It would have been cool to have been around, conscious, I guess. Back at that time, I wasn't as familiar with them. I knew some of the songs, but I wasn't like, God, I gotta go see that show.
How old were you, Andy, in 1983?
83, I was 8.
Oh.
So,
I was 13.
Just starting to get into music at that time.
Wait, 13? Yeah, it would have been 13.
So, yeah, I was just starting to get into music, and Genesis
I'm just
wasn't
14
even on
now.
my radio. Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned 14 and you're 10.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, well, someday we'll be older, Andy. So
Someday.
Yeah.
Someday. Let's see. Collins, after that, he moved to... he did tours of America and Europe. And then he played on Plant's second solo album, The Principle of Moments, and produced and played on 2 tracks for Adamant's album Strip, Puss in Boots and the title track. Collins, Banks, and Rutherford recorded a self-titled Genesis albums. Its tour ended with 5 shows in Birmingham, England in 1984. The latters were filmed and released as Genesis Live, the Mama Tour.
Oh. Against All Odds. What's that about?
Collins,
1984?
1984. Wrote and performed Against All Odds, which was the main theme for the romantic film of the same name, which demonstrated a more pop-oriented and commercially accessible sound than his previous work, released in 1984. The first single of his solo career to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Really? That was the first one? Huh. So, wait. That was the first one to reach number 1?
Against All Odds?
Yeah.
Well,
In the Air Tonight didn't hit number 1?
No, I believe...
Wow.
I believe it hit number 5, but go ahead.
Wow, that's sad.
Why is that sad?
I would assume that would have been number 1. Or, how huge a song is.
Well, yeah.
And how it, how it's still played, constantly. I'm surprised that didn't hit number 1. Just surprising is all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then, of course, he went on tour.
Let's see. We are at 84. Let's jump back to 82 because...
Okay.
You're probably not aware of the song, and if no one else is, that's okay too. But this is, again, just useless information that I have somehow acquired. Meanwhile, if I was a brain surgeon, I would have money. But anyway, do you know who Annie Frid Langstead is?
Annifrid Langstead.
Frida.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but I
Frida is one of the 2 ladies in ABBA.
Okay.
Okay, well, she recorded an album in early 82. It was released on September 7th. She released a single called Something's Going On, and Phil Collins plays drums on that song, using his distinctive gated reverb drum sound.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So you can look that up later when you're really super bored.
Yeah. You know, thinking about the fact that he played on the albums with Robert Plant.
Yeah.
Makes sense now why he was the fill-in drummer when they did Live Aid.
Live Aid, yes.
Because Phil played with Led Zeppelin at that one-off show.
He did. So that, and you know, I'm going to have to check out those albums. Because
I am too.
I don't recall that he was playing on those.
I didn't know that. I had no idea he was playing on those. So now I really want to check those albums out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. In 84, Collins contributed to the production of Chinese Wall by Earth, Wind & Fire, vocalist Philip Bailey, which included the duet Easy Lover, which is one of my all-time favorite Phil Collins songs.
I'll tell you about Easy Lover. Okay?
All right.
Now, we were talking earlier in the episode about that distinctive drum sound.
Yep.
And how you just knew it was Phil Collins. So you have In the Air Tonight.
Yep.
Of course, everyone knows that for the drum beat.
For sure.
I did send you the funny video yesterday. Comedian Fred Armisen the other night is at the Saturday Night Live 50th exhibit opening at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he's going to play to Phil Collins In the Air Tonight. And it gets to the Phil part, and he plays a completely different drum beat. You can Google that and find it. It's very funny. But when Easy Lover hits, doom, 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 when you hear that on the radio and you hear that at a live event, I think that Easy Lover, it really is an iconic song.
Oh, it is.
Just based on the drums. But do you know who plays guitar on that song?
I'm not familiar. I guess I don't know.
I believe it's Steve Lukather.
Is it?
I believe it's Steve Lukather.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, wait. It is not. Forgive me. It is not. It wouldn't be. It would be Daryl Strumer.
Okay.
Daryl Strumer, who you know is Phil Collins' longtime guitarist. The bass player on Easy Lover is the great bassist Leland Sklar. And, it's one of my all-time favorite songs.
Yeah, it's great, too.
I love it.
Me, too. Then after that, he played drums on several tracks on Behind the Sun by Eric Clapton. Then he was part of a super group called Band-Aid. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they did Do They Know It's Christmas?
Mm-hmm. We talk more about that, but it's summertime.
Yeah, and who cares? It's Christmas. Collins' third album, No Jacket Required, was recorded in 1984. And it marked a turning point in his output. He departed from lyrics about his personal life, wrote more about upbeat, dance-oriented songs, happy things, melodies, and whatnot. He was definitely much happier in this album. Mm-hmm. You know, he wasn't going through the divorce. He wasn't always pissed off.
Right.
Which, you know, sometimes pissed off creates some amazing music.
It does, like Sussudio.
Oh, yeah.
Sussudio is on that album. Now, if you want to know what Sussudio is...
Oh, Sussudio was on the happy one, so it was on No Jacket Required. So he had he had gotten away from the pissed off, and he's happy. And Susudio, you can tell he's happy.
You can tell. And Susudio, no one knows what that is. You can look it up. I watch bass and guitar tutorial things. I watch Leland Sklar go back and play his bass parts on all the songs he's done. Another one I've been watching, and you should check it out because you like him a lot, because you like Giant. But Dan Huff now, in his living room, sits and plays on all these songs he's played on, like Michael Jackson songs and stuff. But Leland was talking about Susudio and just its production and how hard it was to take that to the live stage, because almost everything was some type of keyboard,
right? Yeah,
or there was or
pre-programmed stuff,
pre-programmed bass. I mean, I think the guitar was the guitar, but they really did have to figure out a way to translate that to the live stage. One More Night.
Oh, I love that song. That, of course, on that same album, No Jacket Required. Did you know Sting, Peter Gabriel, and Helen Terry contributed backing vocals on that album?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I did not. Billy, Don't Lose My Number.
Love the song.
Yeah.
Love the song. And, of course, my all-time favorite Phil Collins song, Take Me Home, is also on that.
Yes.
And that, of course, made the top 10.
Well, that certainly was a big turning point, because he sells 12 million copies here in the States. It was certified diamond. 1.9 million over in the UK. Yep.
Second best selling album of 1985.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge, huge album.
Collins had 3 U.S. #1 songs in 85, the most by any artist that year. It won 3 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year. The tour, he performed 85 shows. On July 13th of 85, he takes part in one of the biggest and greatest live events of all time, Live Aid.
Yep, which we talked about just a little earlier, where he played with Led Zeppelin and had an iconic set. Of course, they weren't very happy with that set, though. If you read later on, they just didn't think they performed very well. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
That's something I might go, because you can find clips.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch that. I don't really remember that.
They said they didn't think they were very good, but I thought they were pretty good. But I like Led Zeppelin, so. But of course, they didn't have Bonham, so.
No, they didn't. Page later said that Collins had not learned his parts for the set. Well, I mean, I think it was kind of a,
really fastly put together thing.
Well, it was, and you had other combinations of musicians performing on that bill that had kind of been thrown together.
Yep.
Either probably just for promotion to make it bigger, thrown like they do today, combining different artists, different genres together and stuff. But November of 1985, I like this song. It's very dated now, but Separate Lives.
Great tune.
With Marilyn Martin.
Yep.
She was just a fantastic singer.
Yep. That was from the movie White Nights.
Did you ever watch that movie?
I think I did. I don't remember it.
Trying to remember the male lead in that movie.
I don't remember. It has been a long time. I think I saw it in 1986. So, when it came out on video. Otherwise, I think that was I watched it once and that was it. Mm-hmm. So I haven't seen it since.
85, he reunites with Tony Banks and Mike Rutherford to record the 13th Genesis album. That would have been Invisible Touch.
And that was just their biggest album, and I think, as far as commercial success goes.
Mm-hmm.
6 million copies sold in the U.S.
Yeah, it was big. Another one, Howard Jones.
Yeah.
No One Is to Blame.
Love that song.
Talk about great Phil Collins drum work on that.
Oh, yeah.
On that song. With the gated reverb again.
Yep, I guess I didn't realize that was him until just now. See,
Yeah,
I'm learning shit every day.
Check it out. I love doing this with you, buddy, because we're learning so much.
Absolutely.
Even if it only matters to us, that's all right. I have nothing going on today.
Me either. Oh, do you remember? We have to talk about the video for Land of Confusion.
Oh, Land of Confusion.
Do you remember the video for that?
The video was.
Was Spitting Image was the name of the puppet caricatures that they used. It was from a TV show called Spitting Image. It was a British thing, and the puppets were really weird-looking representations of political figures like Ronald Reagan.
Oh yeah, that was a
Nancy
great video.
Reagan.
It's an iconic video.
Oh,
actually.
very, very, very iconic.
It was very cutting edge.
Very, and it was a pretty damning video to Reagan, and you know, his kind of basically saying "fuck you" to his whole administration in that song. But I love it. That video is great. Very political song.
Okay, so Collins provides backing vocals, produced and played drums on most of Clapton's '86 album, August. I was not aware of that.
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that either. So in '87, touring with Genesis, I wish a lot of artists would do that in 2024 and 2025. Phil Collins realizes that he has oversaturated the music market. we were there. Phil Collins was
That's all you heard on the radio.
Between 80 and the early 90s. It was Phil Collins. There was another guy that was all over the radio at that time too, Kenny Loggins.
Yep.
He had a lot of, in the 80s, he had a lot of soundtrack hits too. It was, he had oversaturated the market, but it is very true that he had overexposed the market. People were getting sick of him, were turning against him. Like with Taylor Swift, it's like, honey, go take a year off,
Just,
go lay on your couch for a
Relax.
couple of years. I'm not against your music, your songs, or anything, but I'm tired of seeing you on the
You're
TV
just everywhere
and on a magazine, and just give me a little break from your music, sweetheart. And that's what Phil did.
It was smart.
It was smart
because up until or after Invisible Touch, I mean, God, he was just everywhere. And that album was everywhere. And, of course, needed a break. Which he did. He took a little bit of a break. After that, he took his first acting role since the late 60s. Starring as Buster Edwards opposite Julie Walters in the romantic comedy Buster, which you talked about a little bit earlier. Centered around the Great Train Robbery from 1963. So there you go. He contributed 4 songs to the film's soundtrack, which included the Groovy Kind of Love, which was
Groovy Kind of Love,
which a huge hit for them.
Might be Invisible Touch and A Groovy Kind of Love. There's just something about A Groovy Kind of Love by Phil Collins. I listened to that song multiple times throughout the year still.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Two Hearts was another big hit from him that was spawned off of that, a #1 single. Co-wrote with Lamont Dozier and won them a pair of Golden Globe for Best Original Song and an Oscar nomination in the same category. 1988, Collins was the subject of an episode of the British TV series This Is Your Life. Collins was among the musicians who donated their own clothes to Madame Tussauds Rock Circus, an exhibit held in London Pavilion celebrating the history of rock and pop music, featuring its major figures recreated in wax.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's very cool.
'89, he performs with The Who for 2 shows.
Really?
Yeah, 2 songs from their rock opera Tommy.
Man, he played with Zeppelin and The Who.
Yeah. Yeah, '89, his 4th album, but
and
seriously,
Genesis.
Comes out. He addresses social and political themes. Another Day in Paradise is the lead single.
It's a great tune as well. Of course, they had David Crosby singing backing vocals.
Which I do know, and when you listen to it, you can hear them.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year. Other songs, but seriously, reached the top 5 in the U.S. Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. I love that tune. Do You Remember? Another great tune. And I Wish It Would Rain Down, which features Eric Clapton on guitar.
Now, that's another song, like Easy Lover and In the Air Tonight, with a very defining Phil Collins drumming.
For sure.
I mean, you know, it...
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's great. Of course, he did do a tour for But Seriously. Did 121 dates and spawned the Serious Hits Live album, which sold 1.2 million copies.
Did you ever listen to that?
Yeah, actually, I owned that album.
Oh, okay.
He won a British Single of the Year in 1990 for Another Day in Paradise. In September, he performed Sussudio at the 1990 MTV Video Music Awards in Los Angeles. He played drums on the '89 Tears for Fears single Woman in Chains. I didn't know that either.
Huh.
God, he was in so many different great bands, man. Or at least portions of it for time, you know. God. 1991, Collins reconvened with Banks and Rutherford to write and record Genesis' new album, We Can't Dance. I love this album.
Jesus He Knows, I Can't Dance, No Son of Mine, Hold On My Heart.
I think No Son of Mine is way up there with one of my favorite Genesis songs.
Yeah, great.
It is just a great song. The whole album's really good. There's a couple really long songs on that album too. Which Genesis was known for back in the day, having really long progressive
very
songs.
long songs. Which, by the way, we're going to do an episode here in the not too distant future on long songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I've got a lot of songs that I love that are really, really, really long.
Really long. Yeah.
Collins worked on his 5th studio album, Both Sides, in 92 and 93. It marked a departure from his more polished and up-tempo songs, and it was more experimental in nature. Collins performing all the instruments, which, he usually did, and recorded himself because the songs written were becoming so personal and so private, he didn't want anybody else's input. The decline of his second marriage was a focal point on the album. Released in 1993, it reached number 1 in 8 countries, including the UK, and number 13 in the US. It marked a drop in sales in the latter when compared to his previous albums, only reaching a single platinum certification. He only reached 1 platinum.
Yeah. Both Sides of the Story and Everyday were the two biggest songs off that.
Yep. World tour saw Collins perform 165 shows across 4 legs between April 94 and May 95. He turned down the chance to contribute to Tower of Songs, the songs of Leonard Cohen, which was a huge tribute album of that time.
96, he once again leaves Genesis.
Yep, to concentrate on a solo career. Now, the thing I didn't know about this was Genesis decided to make an album without Phil. And I did not know about this until yesterday. I was doing research on this, and I went to look up Genesis albums, and I look, and there's an album from 1997, and I'm like, well, what the hell? I didn't know they came out with an album in 1997.
I wasn't aware of it either.
And I was in radio in 97. I had no idea they released something. But yeah, they released an album. Ray Wilson was the lead singer, and subsequent he went on tour with them as well for that one album. The album released in 97 was Genesis' 15th. It was their final studio album to date. It was an attempt to continue the band's legacy after Collins' departure, but the album's reception, both commercially and critically, were generally considered lackluster. While Genesis has played other songs from their long and varied catalog, they have not performed any of the Calling All Stations material since the tour ended.
I was not aware of that, and you, my friend, and I, we know awful lot about music,
right?
So if we don't know about it, yeah, it must have been in the tanker. That's all I know.
And it's surprising because of who it is. Like, they're such a big band. It's Genesis, for God's sake.
Yeah.
How did we not know this?
They must have released it and put it right under a rock.
Yeah.
So after he leaves Genesis, he does this Phil Collins big band thing. He was inspired to do that. He was on a great album put together by Neil Peart of Rush in tribute to Buddy.
Yeah.
And he did perform on that. So he did that for a while.
And then he released his 6th solo album, Dance Into the Light. This was a pretty good album, but it was received negatively by the music press, sold less than his previous albums as well. But if you go back and listen to it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Dance Into the Light.
Yeah,
we're going to do a little recap of Phil Collins' hits before we close this up. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I do like Dance Into the Light. That's a good tune.
That's really great.
Beatles-inspired It's in Your Eyes was a good tune off of that as well. The album was certified gold in the U.S. Of course, he toured on the album in 97 with his Trip Into the Light World Tour, covered 82 dates. He performed In the Air Tonight and Take Me Home at the Music for Montserrat benefit concert in London, along with Paul McCartney, Elton John, Eric Clapton, Mark Knopfler, and Sting. So yeah, that was a big year for him. 98, Collins released his first compilation album, Hits. I have that album.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Covered Cyndi Lauper, True Colors.
Yeah, and that was a huge song from him. It was produced by Babyface, Kenneth Edmonds. Mm-hmm. The album was a commercial success worldwide, reached number 1 in the UK, sold 3.4 million copies in the US by 2012.
In the 90s, we know this. He was recruited to write and perform songs for Tarzan.
Yep, the movie Tarzan, the animated movie for Disney.
Yep.
Integrated with a score by Mark Mancina. He also sang his songs in French, Italian, German, and Spanish for the dubbed version of the film. That's incredible.
That is incredible. You'll Be in My Heart was released in 99, 19 weeks at number 1.
Yeah,
on
huge.
The AC chart.
Huge
the longest
song.
time ever up to that point. In 2000, the song won an Academy and Golden Globe. He performed 2 worlds at that ceremony and the Disney-themed Super Bowl halftime show.
That was a good halftime show.
It was.
Right.
In 99, he gets a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He becomes partially deaf in one ear due to a viral infection. In 2002, he drummed for the house band at the Party at the Palace concert on the grounds of Buckingham Palace. In 2002, he releases his 7th solo album, Testify. Can't Stop Loving You. Oh, that was a Leo Sayer cover.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't Stop Loving You. I can't remember what else is on that one.
I can't either.
Mm-hmm.
But it sold about 140,000 copies in the U.S. by the year's end. And of course, you got to remember what year that is. That's CDs were starting to stop selling because people were downloading music at that time.
Right.
So Disney hired Collins to compose and perform on the soundtrack to its 2003 animated feature Brother Bear, which included the song Look Through My Eyes. In the same year, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2004. He released 2 compilation albums, the Platinum Collection and Love Songs. From June 2004 to November 2005, Collins performed his first final farewell tour, a reference to the multiple farewell tours of the popular artists in 2006.
And he changed nothing because all kinds of people are announcing farewell tours still and
still today. Everybody still does it.
Yeah.
Collins reunited with Banks and Rutherford and announced Turn It On Again, the tour, on November 7th, 2006. I was supposed to go to this tour, and I did not get to go. I had a ticket, though.
Yeah.
And I did not get to go.
They perform at the Live Earth concert at Wembley Stadium in London. I believe that was also on MTV and VH1. In 2007, they're honored at the second annual VH1 Rock Honors. They performed Turn It On Again, No Son of Mine in Los Endos. In 2009, Phil Collins records a Motown covers album. Very good, too, by the way. Good.
It really is good.
Is good.
There's a lot of good stuff on that album. If you like Motown especially, it's a good, like, throwback to that, but yet he makes it sound modern, too, which is really cool.
Right. In March of 2010, Phil goes in with the other members of Genesis to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep. And as of January 2011, Collins has spent 1,730 weeks in the German music charts, 766 weeks of them with Genesis albums and singles, and 964 weeks with solo releases. That's incredible. March 2011, citing health problems and other concerns, Collins announced that he was taking time off from his career, prompting widespread reports of his retirement. On 7th of March, his UK representative told the press he has no intention of retiring. Later that day, Collins posted a message to his fans confirming his intention to retire to focus on his family life. In 2012, Collins' Greatest Hits collection hits re-entered the U.S. charts, reaching number 6 on Billboard 200.
In 2014, in an interview with Inside South Florida, that he was writing compositions with fellow English singer Adele, who he had no idea who she was, but after he listened to her singing, he did agree to work with her, but the collaboration ended kind of a non-starter, never went anywhere.
That's too bad. In May 2014, Collins gave a live performance of In the Air Tonight and Land of Confusion with young student musicians at the Miami County Day School in Miami, Florida. He was asked to perform there by his sons, who were students at the school, in August 2014. Collins was reported to have accepted an invitation to perform in December at a benefit concert in Miami in aid of his Little Dreams Foundation charity. He ultimately missed the concert due to illness. 2015, Collins signed a deal with Warner Music Group to have his solo albums remastered and reissued with previously unreleased material. In October of that year, he announced that he was no longer retired and had started plans to tour and make a new album. By mid-2016, all 8 of his albums were reissued with artwork updated to display Collins as his older self, the exception going back, which had a new cover. In 2019, the additional digital-only releases, Other Sides, and Remix Sides followed. In 2016, Collins' autobiography, Not Dead Yet, was published. At a press conference held at the Royal Albert Hall in the same month, Collins announced his Not Dead Yet tour, which initially took form as a short European trek. From June 2017, the tour included 5 nights at the Royal Albert Hall, which sold out in 15 seconds. 15 seconds! That's crazy! It prompted the announcement of Collins' headlining spot at the 2017 Hyde Park Festival, which became his largest solo concert. His band included his son Nicholas on the drums. A review in the Telegraph stated, "Unlike the body, the voice is largely unravaged by time. It's still soulful, sometimes silky, occasionally bruised. In 2017, the tour was extended worldwide and ran until 2019 for a total of 97 shows. In March 2020, Collins, Banks, and Rutherford announced they had reformed Genesis once more to undertake the last Domino tour. This time the band were joined by Collins' son Nick on the drums, leaving his father to handle lead vocals. And after the tour was rescheduled twice due to COVID-19, it began in 2021 and finished in March of 2022. At the last show at the O2 Arena in London, Collins said on stage, "It's the last show for Genesis." On August 20th, 2024, it was revealed by music executive Simon Napier-Bell that Collins was updating his studio by Lake Geneva, with new music possibly in the works. In February 2025, however, Collins stated he had no current plans to make more music, saying he was not hungry enough to do so due to his ongoing health issues.
Well, I believe that there was a documentary with his son Nick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the last thing.
Well, he talks about his career, and they show his drum sets and everything. I can't remember. It's just come out in the last year or two.
Okay.
I've heard Nick discuss that his dad wants to record a new solo album, and that what's been holding that up is that he gutted his studio in his house and he's rebuilding it. So,
okay.
Last I read, he plans to work on a new solo album.
I would love that.
Well, it would be great. So let's recap before we end it here. Phil Collins' songs: "In the Air Tonight," "Against All Odds," "Another Day in Paradise," "You Can't Hurry Love," "One More Night," "Do You Remember," "A Groovy Kind of Love," "Easy Lover," "I Wish It Would Rain Down," "You'll Be in My Heart," "Two Hearts," "The Studios," "Separate Lives," "Something Happened on the Way to Heaven," "Can't Stop Loving You," "Don't Lose My Number," "True Colors," "Take Me Home," "On My Way," "Son of Men," "I Don't Care Anymore," "Two Worlds," "I Missed Again," "That's the Way It Is."
These
Look
are just
Through My
the
Eyes.
solo stuff, right?
Yep. "Inside Out," "This Must Be Love." I mean, these are just, who doesn't know those songs?
Oh, I know. They're huge. And then, of course, you got Genesis, "Invisible Touch," "Land of Confusion." You've got "Just a Job to Do," "Abacab." You've got, I mean, you could go on and on and on and on and on.
You could go on and on and on.
So many great tunes. And the fact that he also played with Led Zeppelin and The Who, and Tears for Fears.
And Tears for Fears. Legendary, iconic artist.
Huge. And of course, played so many times with Eric Clapton and, I mean, Sting.
Well, he is an international icon.
Yeah.
Deservedly so.
So deservedly so. One of my, I guess you'd say, guilty pleasures. I absolutely love Phil Collins.
I'm the same way. Well, hey, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a good time, man. It's been fun talking about Phil.
It's been fun talking about Phil. We're going to talk about Bryan Adams here in a few weeks.
I can't wait.
Another one.
Yes.
All
I
right.
actually seen Bryan Adams live. I never got to see Phil.
No, I've never seen Phil either.
Yeah, I had tickets, but I missed out.
All right. Well, join us next time on the Music Matters podcast.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been MonkeyBoy.
And I'm Ziggy.
And we'll talk to you next time.